Hey everybody, this is Perch, and it's the penultimate issue of King in Black. This is King in Black, issue number 4 by Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman. There's only a 5-issue series, so it's pretty quick, all things considered. It's going to come and go. And in terms of events, this one's felt a lot just crisper, quicker. Now, unfortunately, there is a delay going into issue 5, so I think we have a kind of an extra long wait while Marvel crams a bunch of tie-ins, honestly, into this thing. That's fine. As is the way. This is the way. So, King in Black. A couple notes on this series so far. It is, as I mentioned, it's pretty clean and done. This isn't a huge cerebral comic. This is pretty much action. It's big things happening. It benefits significantly from Stegman. Stegman's doing a really great job, and it is it looks very clean. The coloring's good. There was that second issue, seemed like things got a little scratchy in the process a little bit, but this one's kind of a good return to form. Coloring's good, characters look dynamic and exciting, and it's the visually is what's selling this book. If you think about this same comic but with a lesser artist, it would have felt more disposable, more popcorny. But in this case, Stegman and Cates teaming together is a big deal. Cates is doing, this isn't to diminish Donny Cates, but his comic here, particularly if you compare it against what he's doing with Thor, which has a lot more kind of depth to it, this comic is a lot more shallow. I mean, fundamentally, big evil guys come to the planet, black goo monsters are all over the place, making some of the heroes turn evil, shenanigans afoot everywhere, and that's what we got. So it's not. This isn't like Null as a villain is pretty basic. I mean, we built him up as a super mega threat, but really it's unclear exactly what he's doing. He wants the darkness. He's come to the planet and he wants to consume it, and he's pretty one note as far as the villain is concerned. And it feels like for all the buildup of Null, Null has pretty much got to Earth and kind of stood around, looking dramatic and putting his goo everywhere. That's pretty much what it got. Anyway, we get into this issue. Dylan has been captured by Null. He's in a big, kind of creepy, venomy looking black pit. He is confronted by Null, who's urging him to kind of join and be my son and all the rest. And meanwhile, he starts to hear a voice in his head. Spoiler, it's Jean Grey. And she's basically going to guide him to, here's how you can maneuver this whole thing. We're not exactly sure why Dylan is special, other than he's got some powers that, potentially could injure Null, and he promptly uses them by taking his hand and saying, you killed my dad, and then reaching through the hive mind, releasing the other heroes so they get a shot at coming back. Now, why the heroes would have a better shot freed than the first time, where they were taken out relatively with ease, is unclear. But this time, the black goo splatters everywhere. They're freed. Doctor Strange immediately decides he needs to level up, and so he decides to convert himself to Ancient One godhood, which he promptly does. Jean Grey marshals everybody into action between Cyclops, the Invisible Woman, the Human Torch, Namor, Thor, and they all use their powers to kind of attack all the symbiote goo monsters all simultaneously, funneling everybody into the center of the city. Now, in theory, there's dragons and goo monsters everywhere on the planet, so sure, but they're funneling him into the city. We do get a nice, cool moment with Namor, who basically rises the seas to create a tsunami that destroys all the property value in Manhattan and wash all the goo monsters into the center of the city. Cool. Namor is a character, by the way, that desperately needs somebody to write the character like they actually like him, and that he's not just kind of an arrogant guy who wants to, screw Sue Storm. There's more depth to that character, and he is being underserved horribly right now in Avengers, and this is a very a 2-panel reminder that Namor could be pretty badass. But anyway, as the water is basically washing down the streets of New York, Storm and Thor both double lightning it basically incinerating a bunch of the symbiote creatures. And this is all pretty good, except Dylan is then grabbed again by Null. They just briefly kind of wounded him, but he's clearly all powerful. And so this is where Jean Grey finally makes her appearance, and she dives into his mind to look for his weakness and discovers he has none. Oh wait, he does have one, and it is the light. Null is the darkness, and the light is his opposite. Now, who is the light? It's been trapped, but it's a power that chooses someone. So this sounds familiar. We kind of reach out through space, and there's a god of light that's there. We get a bunch of panels where she's saying it's. Anyway, they're trying to get in. The Silver Surfer, fortunately, is there. He's able to take the light into himself and use it to break through the goo shield around the planet and release the light into the world to go find the light's warriors. And at this point, Reed Richards does Reed Richards things and reveals that the energy source is Captain Universe. The Enigma force of that has existed for decades is the polar opposite, which is a nice little callback. Captain Universe has been the Deus Machina that has at different times shown up to save the day. A number of the heroes have touched the light. In this case, the light zooms into the hospital room where Eddie Brock is dead and immediately enters Eddie Brock's body without permission or consent and tells him, "You have been chosen." And Eddie Brock lifts off the bed, swirling with light orbs, and he is the new Captain Universe. And that's where our title ends. So, to be concluded, we have just a couple more comics to go, but King in Black number 5 is up next, and we've got about a little bit more than a month wait, I think, for that one. And an ominous-looking cover where we get a skeleton, presumably Eddie Brock's, holding the big Null sword in a pile of goo, indicating that the final battle now between Captain Universe Eddie Brock and Null is about to begin, and where two may enter, one will live. So there you have it. All in all, the tie-ins to this comic are, they range. There's some good stuff, none of which is critical reading. I mean, I think it's like if you like the Black Knight, there's a Black Knight story in there. If you like kind of just the idea of, like the American Kaiju, you've got that comic. Which one is that again? That is Planet of the Symbiotes. Is got that going on. There's some stuff going on in the Savage Avengers and the Miles Morales comic. In general, if you want to see some characters fighting some goo monsters, Marvel's got you covered. They've got a dozen or so titles all going on. The checklist that they show is a little misleading because they just show it for kind of the 3 weeks or 4 weeks surrounding this particular issue, and then there's more. So there's actually quite a few comics that crossed over into this. But the crossovers were all, definitely I would call them read as needed. So if you like the characters, you can read them. If you don't, it's not going to change the story anyway. What do we think about all this? Well, King in Black is it's a relatively solid little story. I think it's you get what you pay for. I mean, unlike other comics, actually a good way to think about King in Black is it has the same feel in a lot of cases as the first Metal event that DC did, where they were throwing the Batman Who Laughs, and they were kind of they were throwing some of it was very kind of wacky, off the wall adventure with a bunch of big things happening and reveals, and look, Hawkman's a giant hawk god now, and just stuff like that. And it didn't necessarily matter in the broader sense. It was what it was, and then it was over, and that's fine. King in Black is like that. It doesn't try and tip over its own mythology. It doesn't try and give you more than what it is. It just kind of it is what it is. And so if you're a fan of kind of big action, this is like a Michael Bay summer action movie. That's what it is. If you're excited about comics just being kind of crazy fun, wacky stuff thrown at the wall, but not a lot of, they're not trying to make it more than it is. There's not a bunch of serious world building here. There's not like we're going to combine all the multiverses into one multiverse. There's nothing like that. It's just some bad guys showed up, goo everywhere. Heroes have to stop them. How are they going to do that? They figure out a way. Some good moments in here. That's what you got. Nothing wrong with that. Comics need to be that every once in a while. But what did you think? Did you read this issue? Did you like it? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Find the information of how to contact me in the description of the video, and thanks for listening.